Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today's build is going to be a Sorcerer, which we haven't played in quite a while, and we're going to be using Elemental Nova. We'll be using Teleport to cast the Elemental Nova for us. We're also going to have a lot of cooldown recoveries so that we're just teleporting every 3 seconds and just annihilating everything with the huge AoE of Elemental Nova. Full Lightning will also be applying Spark Charges. The Spark Charges will actually hit harder than Elemental Nova does, which means you teleport, 3 Novas will go off. Those Novas will basically hit everything on your screen, and what it doesn't kill, it'll leave a Spark Charge, and those Spark Charges will go off after 0.7 seconds, and then those will most likely kill it. So we're basically just a speed run build where we just fly through echoes, and then when you get to the bosses, we have Focus, and with Focus, we'll be doing the Overflow, where we are doing the lightning damage in its area of effect. And what's nice about that is it hits really, really hard, and it stacks up with all of the other lightning damage we're doing since it's lightning based, and that's going to be your single target boss killer. It does do an AoE, so if there's other mobs around, it'll kill everything. It's about the same size almost as Elemental Nova, but it's going to hit much harder. We're hitting the training dummy for 200k with it, and although it's not going to kill all the bosses in just a few hits, it is going to help you wither them down in just a matter of seconds versus having to fight them for a few minutes. And this is a super tanky build. You'll be running between 4,000 and 6,000 ward the entire time. You can face tank all of the bosses. So super fun, super fast, and it's even tanky. So let's go ahead and get into the skills. For skills, we're running Elemental Nova, Meteor, Focus, Flame Ward, and Teleport. Yes, I know you're probably wondering why in a lightning build we're running Meteor, and it's because it still does really good damage, and we're only going to use it against bosses when we need a little extra DPS. For Elemental Nova, we have this completely set up in the lightning side. We are channeling it. We have 1 point in Lightning Nova to enable lightning. We have 5 points in Spark Charges, so that every time Elemental Nova hits, this doesn't matter whether it's lightning, fire, or ice, it's going to apply a Spark Charge on every hit. That Spark Charge will last 0.7 seconds, and then it itself will blow up, dealing damage to nearby enemies, or it will blow up when the enemy that it's attached to dies. So you can get some really good AoE out of this. Also, it hits harder than lightning or elemental lightning does itself. So the Spark Charge hits for about 3 times the damage that Elemental Nova does. So they are really, really useful. We have 5 points in Overcharge, so that there's a 40% chance that we'll hit with Elemental Nova in a 75% larger area, and that hit will have 200% more shock chance. We have 5 points in Elemental Expanse to increase our area by 150% so that we can just kind of take up the whole screen. 3 points in Charge Destruction for that 9% added base critical strike chance. This will get us really, really close, if not at 100% crit with Elemental Nova. It's very rare that you'll see white numbers with it. And 1 point in Luminaire so that you can now channel it. It'll cost mana per second. We don't channel it that often. I was rarely using it as a channeled. For the most part, I just teleport and it kills everything along the path. And then when I get to bosses, I just use either Meteor in combination with Focus. I rarely was actually channeling Elemental Nova to do damage. So I'll just teleport on them and then I'll use Focus to deal the damage, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. For Meteor, we have this set up just to get as many Meteors as possible and to do as much more damage, and we have the guaranteed crit with the mana refunded. So we have 1 point in Force of Impact, 1 point in Extinction, 1 point in World Ender, so that you will always have a critical hit with Meteor, all of its meteors, if you cast it when you're above 400 mana. We have 3 points in Aftermath, so that you get 45% of the mana that it costs back over the next 3 seconds, as long as you don't cast it again during that time. And it has a huge mana cost. It's only 195 mana, no biggie. So you'll get about 95 of that mana back. We have 2 points in Crushing Force for more hit damage, and then even more hit damage against full health enemies. 5 points in Infernal Descent for 100% more hit damage. 3 points in Rapid Descent for the fall speed to unlock 1 point in Twin Meteors, so you now get 2 Meteors. 3 points in Meteor Shower, so that we now get 3 more for 5 Meteors total. And even though we're completely spec'd into lightning, we don't have fire damage anywhere. It already hits for the training dummy, 60k each, 70k, so it still hits pretty hard, and you're getting 5 of those hits in. So it's just a little extra DPS in your build, especially against bosses. That's the only time that I was using it. And then for focus, this is our main DPS skill against bosses. We have 1 point in mana flooded to increase our mana regen a little bit while it's active. 3 points in iron stance. 5 points in energy overflow. This takes a 40% of your maximum mana and turns it into lightning damage each second and hits in an area around you, kind of like Elemental Nova. 5 points in unstable energy, so that it does 150% more damage if you're at full mana, so you want to make sure that you're at full mana while using it. 1 point in Unbound Thought, so that focus no longer has a cooldown. However, you will no longer get any mana from the burst that you get when you channel for more than a second with focus. And 3 points in Rapid Overflow, so that instead of it casting out its damage every 1 second, it's going to do it 60% more frequent, so it'll be about every 0.4 seconds that you'll get it. Now, I'll go ahead and show you what that means. When you start channeling it, it means that every 0.4 seconds it's going to be firing out this wave, like Elemental Nova, of lightning damage in this whole area. And as you can see, it's critting for well over 150 to 200k damage. We had a 210. So it hits like a rock, and this is what you're going to be using for bosses. So what I'll do is I'll teleport, get my lightning novas, you'll throw down your Meteor, and you just start casting that to focus and get extra damage, and you'll just whittle down the bosses rather quickly. For Flame Ward, this is your defensive skill. We have it set up to try and give us as much ward and damage reduction as possible. We have 5 points in Star Ward Defense for 200 extra ward granted, 3 points in Desperate Defense so that we get 36% of our missing health granted as ward, which is about 800 to 900 ward that we're getting just from this. We have 5 points in Barrier so that while it's active, we take 40% less hit damage. 1 point in Prismatic Buffer so that we take 10% less elemental damage while it's active. 3 points in Dilation to increase the duration and the mana efficiency. 2 points in Energize so that while it's active we have 30 additional ward per second. And 1 point in Recollection for 25% more ward retention. And then for Teleport, this is going to be the main skill that we use through echoes, because with this you can just run through an echo and keep teleporting and kill everything along the way. We have 5 points in Resonant Plasma, 1 point in Decoy Position for a decoy or mirror image at departure, 1 point in Unexpected Copy so that we have a mirror image where we arrive, 5 points in Elemental Affinity for some more elemental damage for 4 seconds after we've teleported, 1 point in Elemental Dawn, 1 point in Elemental Dusk, and 1 point in Elemental Midnight, so that we get an Elemental Nova cast at our departure, arrival, and halfway in between. And if you teleport to the exact same spot, you have 3 of them all in one spot, which is really nice. And 5 points in Ether Barrier for 35 ward gained when we teleport. These 5 points aren't really needed. Feel free to work your way down and take the global cooldown recovery speed of 5%. This isn't a huge amount, but it does help a little bit. It'll get you Flame Ward back a little bit quicker. For passives, we have 25 points in the base Mage class, with 8 points in Scholar, 8 points in Arcanist, and 9 points in Knowledge of Destruction. 21 points in the Spellblade, so that we have 6 points in Elemental Affinity, 8 points in Flamewalker, and 6 points in Incinerating Aura with the last point in Crackling Aura. This is so that we can have a chance to always have Fire Aura active, and so that we can increase its area, increase its damage, and turn it into lightning without having to do that inside of Flame Ward. And this will definitely help you with like rats and things that come close to you, and maybe you don't have an Elemental Nova or you don't have a teleport quite off cooldown. There's a good chance that the Fire Aura will just kill them for you, as long as they don't have too much life. And then 67 points in the Mastered Sorcerer, with 8 points in Calculated Destruction, 4 points in Brainstorm, 10 points in Wisdom, 8 points in Chromancer, 8 points in Crackling Precision, 5 points in Arcane Obliteration, 10 points in Arcane Insight, 5 points in Spellslinger, 5 points in Archmage, and 4 points in Recreation. Alright, for items and idols, there are 2 types of idols that I'm wearing. I am wearing both the increased health and the flat health. We have 5 of those currently on, and then we have 2 branded glass idols that have increased elemental nova area and increased lightning damage doubled if you have over 300 max mana. We have 2 of those, so 2 of those and 5 health. The reason we want these health ones is because we are doing a low life build, and the more life that you have, the more ward gen that you will have per second, and that'll definitely help your survivability. So since we are running low life, we are wearing 2 uniques, the 2 that are associated with low life, and that is 1 in Zanguius and 2 Last Steps of the Living. And because it's a commonly asked question, Zanguius is a random drop. You cannot target farm it, you cannot gamble it. You just have to wander around the world of Edera killing stuff until it magically appears for you. It is only a level 23 item. A lot of people have came to the conclusion that if they hunt with low level characters in low level areas between level 23 and 30, they have a higher chance of getting it. I can't confirm that. I don't remember when mine dropped, but I've gotten a bunch of them. But if you just keep killing stuff, eventually it will drop you. The Last Steps of the Living can be farmed. It is from Forcimos, the boss, which is the level 75 timeline. It has a 14% chance to drop, so you'll have to farm it a few times. Maybe you'll get lucky on the first try, maybe it'll take you 20 tries, but this one is farmable. You can't gamble it, you do have to go kill the boss in order to get it. For the rest of our items, we're wearing a sorcery staff with increased spell damage, increased lightning damage, chance to shock on hit, and added mana. For our helm, we have cooldown, recovery speed, intelligence, chance to cast Fire Aura on critical strike. You don't need that, but if you do have it, it's just nice to get an extra Fire Aura every now and then because you will be critting a lot. And chance to shock on hit with lightning skills. Both of those suffixes are not super important. If you get increased health and flat health or any health at all, that's just as good. You do want the increased cooldown recovery speed, although not necessary. It is nice because it will reduce the cooldown of your teleport by about 0.7 to 0.8 seconds, and it will reduce the cooldown on Flame Ward from anywhere between 2 and 3 seconds, which is definitely going to help you get ward faster, since Flame Ward is giving you a lot of ward. We have an Oracle Amulet to take less damage taken over time. We have lightning damage, lightning penetration, dodge rating, and chance to shock on hit. We're wearing 2 Jade Rings for the dodge rating. We have Int, Vite, dodge rating, and health on both of them. For our belt, we have a bronze belt with increased dodge rating on potion use, dodge rating flat, and hybrid health. For our relic, we have the Sunrise Emblem for some spell fire damage that helps with Meteor a little bit. And then we have Int, Vite, mana, and health. And then for the gloves, we have the Noble Gloves for some cast speed. We have Int, Vite, hybrid health, and flat health on it. You'll notice we didn't go for any of our resistances. We're not too worried about it. We did get some dodge, but for the most part, all we cared about was getting as much health as possible, along with the stats we needed to do pretty decent damage. For our character sheet, you can see we have 14% physical poison, necrotic, and void, and then we're a bit higher with the elementals, but we're still well under cap. We only have 11% armor. We have 21% dodge. Our damages are not that high. We do have 450% lightning damage, which is what we're built into. You will notice that our fire damage is only 30%. That's why Meteor is not going to hit super hard. But again, against the training dummy, you're getting 5, 60, or 70k crits, which is a total of 350,000 damage against the training dummy from a one-time skill that you just cast once. So it is pretty decent. So it is nice to, just throw it on a boss and then go back to using focus for damage. So I like it. You can change Meteor out though to use any skill that you want. So for skill rotation and how I play the build, I like to put Flame Ward on autocast just because I never remember to cast it when I need to. If you do charges on it, if you change up the tree a little bit and you get the extra charge, you can't get the extra charge on the chest since we're wearing Zanguius. But if you manually use it, you can definitely go farther in the arena using it when you need it, because it will definitely help you from being killed, especially with like a one-shot or when you're really in trouble. The worst case scenario, you're really in trouble, you really need it, and you just used it a few seconds before that, and you gotta wait 10 seconds. For the rest of them, I just teleport around. So for echoes, all you're going to do is you're just going to teleport like that. You're just going to keep teleporting every 3 seconds. The damage is going to go. The spark charges are going to do damage afterwards. Anything in between these fire auras do really good damage. You can see just sitting here in the training dummy with our fire auras, we're doing 2,000 to 5,000 damage. It'll kill rats, trash mobs, things pretty easy. The spark charges are hitting really hard. So you can see 3 elemental novas, 3 spark charges. They're hitting for just as much, if not more. And then when you get to bosses, you just throw down a Meteor, you hit focus. Focus, as you can tell, as soon as we hit full mana, it's going to be hitting super, super hard. Like I said, 150 to 210, 220,000 damage against the training dummy. Definitely going to help you take down those bosses a bit quicker. And you can always throw a teleport in there to get the extra shocks on there to do a little extra damage with it. Gonna go ahead and give you guys some more gameplay. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to sub and like it. There will be plenty more on the way.